Hi everyone, and welcome back to this channel of crafting, crochet and knitting. My name is Nikki and welcome to my little yarniverse. So hello, welcome if you're new, welcome back if you're a returning viewer. As always, it is excellent to have you here. So you might be able to tell from the title of this video that we have not yet edited the Northern Ireland footage in order to show you what I got up to in Northern Ireland months ago now, but I have got a few yarn related updates for you, so I thought I would just hop on and do a fairly quick video, and this time I really need to keep it quick. I don't have enough memory on my phone to make this very long-winded rambly episode, so we're going to have to jump straight into the projects I've been working on. So first up is the t-shirt that I was trying to make out of West Yorkshire Spinners Silent Night. And the logic behind this, I don't know if you were here for the last episode, but the logic behind this is that I have a jumper pattern that I'm really fond of in Aran weight and DK weight, but I want to turn that into a t-shirt pattern and I want to use like a sock weight or fingering weight yarn. So we had to do a bit of maths, a bit of recalculation, and then because my body shape is always tricky, sometimes you just got to make it and see how it fits and whether you like it, and then tweak it like in future versions. So this was always meant to be a practice t-shirt, and here it is. So yeah, we have got the Silent Night colourway. As I was working this in the round, and I was showing it on camera last time, I realised that this colourway, where the light parts are, is giving a really nice Star Trail vibe. So this is the Star Trails t-shirt, which I'm really happy with. Now in general this fits reasonably, but there are a few areas that I would like to improve when I finally get around to making my next t-shirt. One of those is the yoke depth. So when you're making a jumper, the yoke depth, if it's a bit long, like maybe it becomes eventually noticeable if it's really baggy under the arm, but actually it's kind of covered up because you then start to make the sleeves, and as you taper down the sleeves, that extra material under your arm is kind of, it's there and it's part of when you're sort of like moving your arms around. It allows you that motion, but it's pretty much not noticeable. It's just it's there and no one notices. But in a t-shirt, if I put this on, one of the first things I immediately see is just how much extra material there is here under my arm. Now part of this is because I've lost a lot of weight recently, and so I actually can be downsizing some of my clothing, but I think the majority of this is just because in my previous versions, this was a yoke down jumper pattern, I had the increases and decreases from that pattern. I calculated the maths on how to do that in a different yarn weight, but I still did the same depth of yoke and thought that that would be fine, and it turns out that it wasn't. So one of the biggest things I'm going to have to do in making the next jumper is to actually assess where I am in the yoke and whether or not I need to cut it short. And I think that I need to cut it short by a couple of inches. I think I need to be coming in here rather than here, and I think that's one of the biggest things that bothers me about this t-shirt. It's perfectly wearable, but it could be better, and that would be fabulous because I also think that would hopefully help the fit across the front as well. So you can't really tell as I'm holding it up because, like, unless I'm wearing it, it's not really obvious how it's fitting me, but the fit across the front is okay, but I've not quite got the shaping right. I think it's got enough space across the bust, but then it's not tapering into the waist as much as I would like it to, so I just did my maths wrong on that, and it's not tapering into the waist where I want it to sit as well, so I need to work out where that waist is going to be, especially if I'm going to be editing the yoke, so that I can decrease into the waist, and I think I need to give it more time in a smaller stitch count at the waist before I then need to increase for the hips, because it's fingering weight yarn and each of these rows is smaller than the rows I would have in an Aran weight. So a little bit of shaping around the torso to do, and I think that that will come in to play as I adjust the yoke part. Like, the yoke is the biggest thing that I need to sort out, is the depth of the yoke. I need to make sure that I pull it out under the arms, especially because the the actual sleeves are also too big. So by the time that I have shortened the yoke, the sleeves should shrink like I want them to, and look in proportion, and then also it should set me up to do the waist measurements properly. The last thing is length. I keep getting length wrong. Consistently getting the length wrong. Every time I try it on and I think, oh yeah, that's about where I want it, that's not too long. By the time that I've done the ribbon at the bottom and then cast it off, it's going to be a couple of inches bigger, and I don't want it to be too big, so here is the right time. And then I cast it off and I try it on and it's not long enough. It doesn't look like incredibly cropped, but it's definitely more cropped than I would like it to be, and it could have been longer, and I had loads of yarn left. I actually had an entire ball of yarn left. I got to the end of the second ball of, so this was 100 grams of West Yorkshire Spinners yarn. I got to the end of the second ball, and then I realised that actually I was so close to the end that I really did not need to cut into my third ball of yarn, and then it would be easier for me to leave that third ball of yarn for future sock projects, and to use the leftovers from my previous socks, which were only like 30 grams each or something like that, and just start eating into one of those in order to just finish the bottom of this jumper. And then I had, you know, I've got a few scraps for any mending, but I've also then got an entire ball of yarn for future sock project. So that is what I have done, and I could have gone longer, and maybe I could rip it back and make it longer, but again, it's one of those projects where it's wearable. I really can't bother to go back and make it longer now, and I was really wanting to get into my next project. So that is where we're at. Hopefully editing Nikki will have the chain of thought to put a picture of me wearing this into this video, but for now that's what it looks like, and I really enjoy the star trails that I get, the effect that I get from that. So having said that, this is not going to be a lengthy video. We've spent a lot of time talking about that one t-shirt, so let's move on to another project that I had done. And I actually meant to talk about this in the last episode, and it's probably a good job that I didn't, because I filled the last episode with plenty of stuff. And that is just a very simple amigurumi project. I'm going to put a picture in here. I am a Avatar: The Last Airbender fan, and so is one of my friends from work, and we always joke about his tea consumption, and so it was about time that he had his own little Fire Nation Iroh, Uncle Iroh amigurumi. So I made him that. I gave Iroh a little mug of tea, and my friend absolutely loves it. So really happy with that. I had a few attempts at the outfit in order to get the shaping right, but I'm also really happy with how it came out. The hair was such a faff, but I got there in the end, and yeah, I'm just so happy with it. It's great. Have I been asked whether or not I will make any of the other characters? Yes I have. Am I going to do that anytime soon? Probably not. But I'm still so proud of this. I really think it's one of my best pieces. So, and I'm glad that my friend just was ecstatic when I gave it to him. So yeah, that's great. And then the last thing that I have to show you is another little hand-dyed yarn project, and this is using, I'll show you the yarn first. This is the Bellissia yarns, and it's their, oh, don't think it wants to focus. Can you get it to focus? I don't seem to be able to get it to focus. So I'll hold it back here. And this is the colour, oh, what colourway? I don't have a name for the colourway, but it was like one of the Christmas colours. And it's just a really nice, subtly Christmas. It is this really nice grey, like neutral grey, with then a really nice sprucey green and a really nice burgundy red. So it's Christmassy coloured without being too in your face. Like a lot of Christmas stuff is very bright reds and bright greens, and I'm not really a sort of person who can get away with wearing bright reds or bright greens, but this more muted tone that's almost just on the cusp of autumn, but because it's red and green, it's also obviously Christmas. And I've been using this to make a Christmassy shawl. So this is how it's working up at the moment, and this is my own pattern. I'm probably not going to write it up because it's not necessarily too difficult, and I would want you to be able to make your own lacework because that's part of the fun for me. I just basically sat down with some gridded paper and I drew out like roughly where I wanted the pattern to be, looked at some photos of how lacework worked up online, and looked at like previous shawls. So another reason for not copying, for not writing out this pattern is because the starting construction is the same as this one, which is another pattern, and I don't think that necessarily has to stop me because I think it's a fairly common start of a shawl, but I just don't want to get into all of that. So this is just for me, but I did the garter tab cast on at the top here, and then as I am going down I've got a garter stitch border that will be the top of the garment, and then I've got just eyelets at the edge there on both sides, and then I've got an eyelet and a ridge down the middle, and that's where I am yarning over and growing the shawl, so it starts off really small and then it gets bigger each row. And then what maybe you can't quite see, I'm not sure how this is going to look on camera, is that I've got a little lacework motif. Oh, it's really not visible on camera, is it? What can I put in the background in order to try and help make it more visible? Okay, hopefully that is a little bit more visible. I've just got a book in the back there, but maybe you can see, maybe, that what I've got is a little tiny bit of beadwork at the top of a tree. So it's kind of coming down like this and then down here as well. I'm hoping that when this is blocked it's going to be a bit more obvious. And then there's just a teeny tiny little bit of garter stitch there for the for the trunk or for the pot, and it is just little teeny tiny trees. I was actually outside with a fire pit yesterday, and the light going through them actually cast really good silhouettes of the tree, but every time that I hold it up to try and show somebody it's really difficult to see, so I'm hoping that with the blue background it's a little bit more visible there. And I've got these interspersed throughout the shawl. So I've got a couple at the top, and I've got some, and then I've got 3 in a row across here, and then I'm just working on the 4th repeat, on the 3rd repeat set, which is 4 going across, and it's on each side. So where the center seam comes down, and you're increasing, you're kind of like repeating, so you're doing the same on this side as you're on that side, so that you've got 2 triangles that come together to make a big triangle that will be the shawl. And I will end up wearing it similar to how I've got my current one on, where I will stick the mid piece here and then wrap this around and then let it drape back down and droop over my shoulders. So that's the plan, and I really like the colours. I don't know if the lace is being washed out by the fact that this is variegated yarn, or whether it's being washed out by just the fact that it's quite a niche pattern and it's not an obvious like repeating pattern, or whether it's just because it's not blocked yet. I'm worried it's because it's variegated, but I've got it on my lap at the moment, like over my black trousers, and I can see the pattern when it's spread out, so I'm hoping it will all be fine when I do wear it, when I have flocked it, but if not, it's still a really nice colour combination, so it will still make a really pretty Christmassy shawl without being too aggressively bright in Christmas colours. So that's what we're working on at the moment. Unfortunately, all these projects at the moment are distracting me from what should be my project at the moment, which is my Christmas Fair Isle jumper. So I've still got multiple big balls, like 400-gram balls of Aran weight yarn that's taking up a lot of space that I was doing really well at clearing out. I've got a couple of jumper projects that I've really loved, but I just keep being not overwhelmed, but I keep procrastinating actually sitting down with the pattern and checking the sizes and trying to work out how I will fit my motifs into the space to get the repeats that I want, to get the look that I want, and I just keep putting that off because it's gonna be a long one. It's probably gonna take minimum a month and a half, maybe 2 months, which means I really should be starting it because it is early September right now. We want to be able to wear this jumper during December, especially near to Christmas. So that does mean if I start it now, then hopefully it would be finished by the end of October. But then you have to take into account busyness and when I can and I can't do this. Because there's always days where actually I can knit lots and then there's days where I can't knit anything. I've got really busy time at work at the moment, and so it's like I don't get it out in my lunch break as much because I'm too busy thinking and dwelling on what I'm doing at work. And sometimes in the past I've gotten things out at lunch break and been able to focus on them. So I'm not sure this is going to only be a 2-month project. So I'm a little bit worried about that. But of course, the longer I put it off, then the worse it's going to be. And I do also have my t-shirt project. I really wanted to get that done by the end of the year. And of course, if I start my t-shirt project now, and if that ends up taking more than a month, then that's going to delay the Christmas jumper even further, and maybe even mean that I don't get time to do the Christmas jumper this year. In theory, if I had 2 months for both and I did both now, and I started one then I did the next one immediately, then I would have time to finish them both. But if I did the t-shirt first, which is what I feel compelled to do because it's the easiest to carry around with me, then I won't have time to do the Christmas jumper before I actually need to wear it at Christmas. So I'm gonna need to start the Christmas jumper first, but I kind of don't want to start the Christmas jumper first, and I have to think about it, and I haven't finished my shawl yet, so I don't think it's all gonna get done this year, but I'm just going to keep trying. And of course, none of that is taken into consideration that I haven't yet found time to do my video editing from Northern Ireland. I haven't found time yet to sit down and spin. So yes, I've definitely tried to fit too much into this year, and I'm not going to be able to get through all of it. But I think on the whole, I'm pretty okay with some of the stuff I've managed to make this year, and I have managed to make some space on my shelves. I can sit down on my chair again, and all my yarn is like pretty much behind me, apart from the few projects I have that are waiting to, like the yarn that is waiting to be used, which is sat in a box on my desk. So yeah, overall it's going well, but we're starting to feel a little bit of the pre-Christmas rush. So what about you? What have you been working on? What are you trying to make? Are you trying to make something for Christmas specifically for yourself or for somebody else? And are you feeling the pressure of having that finished by Christmas? Let me know in the comments, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.